It's coming.
It'll,
And so you have the backgrounds that can change out, and then you've got some music that runs a little bit behind it.
The music was the one that I was playing, but since I touched the mouse, I won't touch it again. I'll like just look at it.
now, is this how you would want others to have it on their computer, not single images, but multiple images that would be changing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you create your own music?
No.
Oh, okay.
Now, what we're seeing here are things that you started off with, and you don't have to show us, but like you'll use words, like there'll be the word like you showed earlier, like the word wave, or there was a couple of other things, and you begin to distort and change. And if you look inside the work, sometimes you can actually see where you started, like the word.
Actually, I don't use words. Generally, I used words because I could not get Photoshop to allow me to take a screenshot of any of the filters that I use. So I use the words to show what each.
Oh, okay. So what effect is that you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. And so where do you start with the images? What goes on? What's on that blank sheet of paper, so to speak?
Like on this one, the gradient was separate from the original image, and I just applied effects to the image, to another layer, and I mirrored, well, on the other one, I mirrored the images in order to get those.
Okay, so in order to get the effects, then you mirrored it.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things too that we are attempting to do, and you can think about this, is as a way. Now you're working as a digital artist, whereas a traditional painter might have. You can imagine that as painting. And one of the challenges on the digital side are, taking artists beyond just the paintbrush or the actual tool that they use, and beginning to add dimensionality to it. So if you had some sounds that you were creating, how would Jill interpret something like this that she sees? What sounds might she add to it? Or even the movement, something like Kyle might do, interspersing, pretty much we can do almost anything. Words that can flash across the screen. That's been the real challenge that a lot of at least a lot of the students we've had, because they have a difficulty trying to figure out how to move from 2D and drawing and somehow add dimensionality to it, even to the point of our photographers, right? Photography right now they're frustrated because they feel like they're left out in the Web 2.0 world. What can they do to their photographs that begin to bring in these other techniques? So that might be an area where you can go in the future, and that opens up a whole new world of fun. I could see you with Audacity and Jill's sound library.
Well, and there's something interesting about seeing her present after Jill, because Jill originally had the video that she did the soundtrack to. And
right.
We're kind of looking at the inverse here, where we have the soundtrack already, and now we've got the visuals that explain the soundtrack to us.
Anybody have any questions?
One more question.
Uh-huh.
Regarding, beyond prolific and the number of images created, and I'm wondering, are you just are you going through just any and every technique that you come across and doing different combinations of techniques for like mirroring and what?
Yes, early on I used to just create an image and let that stand, and I wouldn't do anything to it, and now I'm more interested in seeing what happens if I overlap them.
Okay. I guess I can tell that some of them are a little more simple than others and have like several techniques that are going on at the same time.
I can show you the words that he was talking about.
Go ahead.
This file size right here is the file size that the images would be in if I left them.
So 128 megs worth of.
So I shrink them down to this file size, which is 13.9 megabytes.
So, are you uploading those? You're not uploading. You're doing thumbnails to the web, aren't you? You're not uploading 14 meg files
No, the files that
or
I
120 meg files to download.
the files that I upload are usually smaller than this. The
Okay.
3.7971,
Okay.
which is, in case you wanted to know the music you were listening to, it's that artist, and that's the song, and that's the CD. I really like his music a lot. But, okay, this is like a wave, a wood wave, and then polar coordinates, and these are all the filters that I use in Photoshop. And, this is when it's applied to a background, and I do not apply words to a background normally.
Oh, I misread you then.
It's okay. When I apply a wave, it squiggles it up like that. When I apply a polar coordinates, and this effect I don't like very much, it does do that. And there's a reason I don't like it, because of that line. It would stay in the rest of the images. And so this is the polar coordinates that I use. It's called polar to rectangular. The other one is called rectangular to polar. And then I use tool. And when I apply wave to the entire image on a gradient, it messes it up like that. And then that's a wraparound, because some of my images have these at the edges, which I like sometimes. And then the polar coordinates applies it to both the gradient and the words.
Okay, well, Caroline, thank you very much for showing us. The hard part about this is that there's so many filters out there, and there's so many things that we can do. You can imagine Jill with her sound; she might have thousands of sound bites to have to wade through. You've got hundreds of filters that you're wading through. So, Shelby.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
And Shelby's up, and if I'll let you introduce yourself, but she has bad dreams, everybody, right?
Well, I'll explain. It's weird.
Okay.
Will you get my USB cord from the back of here, please?
I'll go ahead and explain. For
Yes.
a long time, I've been doing
Excellent.
lots of digital
Thank you.
photographs in grids, and I was kind of photographing the world around me, and then like a rainstorm, and then I have a very obsessive personality where I want it all lined up perfectly. So I would put it in a grid, and then I kind of moved on to, and I have examples of all of this. I kind of moved on to the things around me, like toys I had collected since I was little, and just random things that I've, for some reason or another, kept around forever. And I'm used to a Mac, so let's see. Which one's mine?
Still thinking about it.
Anyway, just thinking. So then I does it just do, if I just open one, will it do a slideshow kind of thing?
I don't know. I'm a Mac person too.
Kyle.
Oh, God.
Anybody here know how to run a PC?
Oh, here we go, slideshow. One button, that's easy. I think it's loading them. Alright, so these are like the first things I did, and I did these with my cell phone camera because I have it with me